All right, here we go. We are continuing on section 8, but we kind of have a number of layers of the complexity. And so today we're staying in the two-step equations, but they're getting a little more complicated. So I want to tackle a few examples with you and then have you try some on your own. So label the top of your notes, section 2.8b. It's still called solving two-step equations. And just a reminder as far as what your learning target is for today. I can, and I put on here, again, solve two-step equations. But the twist this time is they're going to be a little more complicated, a little more complex, and you will see more fractions or parentheses. Okay, and I'll show you how to counteract this and actually make them pretty straightforward. Okay, so here we go. A reminder, you don't have to keep rewriting this, but remember, we're always trying to find that variable and get it alone by undoing and checking your answer. Now, the undoing part is what we have to focus on today. All right. Normally, when it's just a straightforward one, going backwards means we're going to undo the adding and subtracting first, and then we undo multiply and divide. However, today what I need you to watch out for is these parentheses. If you see parentheses, got some strategies here. And if you have large fraction bars that encompass more than one thing in the numerator. All right. So here we go. Example number 1 is this one. -3 times this whole quantity. Put big old parentheses around this. G minus 11 equals 12. Here's my variable, the beautiful letter G. But right now it's trapped. It's trapped inside here. And you have to think of like the gatekeeper or the troll or whatever it is that's holding our variable captive is this -3. Okay. Here's what I really want you to do. Underneath here, I want you to write -3 and just put empty parentheses there equals 12. Okay. Because I want you to think of all the stuff that's inside these parentheses as a blob. And here's how I want you to counteract this. -3 times this whole blob equals 12. Do you know what this number has to be? Okay, if you can see it in your head, awesome. Otherwise, we're going to counteract this first by, since I'm multiplying -3 times the blob, I'm going to divide by -3. Because then watch what happens. 3 divided by 3 are ones. A negative divided by a negative is positive. You just have the blob left. And the blob has to equal -4. Whatever was in the parentheses here has to equal -4. And it happened to be G minus 11. Sweet. Go ahead and solve. Add 11 to each side. This goes to 0. So I get G by itself, and over here, -4 plus 11 is +7. Yes, you are not done. You must check. Okay? This is the hardest thing because you just want to celebrate the fact that you got something done, but you don't know if it's right yet until you check and you have a calculator in your hand. So for goodness sakes, check. It's not rocket science. You're just going to punch numbers in on your calculator. Let's go. Go back to the beginning. Okay. When I go to check it, I'm coming over here and I'm saying -3 parentheses G minus 11. But I just told you, I think that G is 7. Okay. This better be equal to +12. Inside the parentheses, 7 minus 11 is -4. -3 times -4, +12. Ba-boom! You're done. That's right. Okay? That's what happens if you have parentheses. Let's take a look at one of these. Oh, giant fraction. Here we go. P plus 8. The whole thing divided by -2 equals 10. Now, even though there aren't parentheses here, I want you to put them up here because really, my variable P is trapped. It's trapped in the numerator of this fraction. And you cannot touch that variable until you deal with getting rid of the fraction, okay? This whole blob right here is being divided by -2. I'm going to have you do the same thing again. I want you to write empty parentheses because I'm thinking of this as this big old blob, okay? This whole blob divided by -2 equals +10. To counteract dividing by -2, I want you to multiply by -2. Multiply by -2. Okay, now why did I do that? Because this 2 in the numerator and the 2 in the denominator divide each other out to give you a 1, and negative divided by negative gives me +1. So you just have the blob, and my blob was p plus 8, or p plus 8, the whole thing over 1. That's just p plus 8. Oh, this is no longer 10, however, it's -20. Well, now let's take a look what's going on. Negative, or subtracting 8 from each side so that I get the variable p by itself equals -28. Now hold your horses, because I know you're just in such a mood to get done. This is the value, -28. You need to go back and substitute it here in the original equation, p plus 8. So -28 plus 8 divided by -2. I had better, end up with a +10. Let's see what happens. Both of these added together give me a -20. And when I divide by -2, I get +10. Boom, boom! You're done. Okay? Let's try one more just to make sure you got the hang of this. M minus 13 divided by 2 equals -8. I want you to think of this as one big blob. Okay? And this blob, when you divide it by -2, whatever this is, when I divide by 2, I get -8. Okay, so you're asking yourself, what value, when you divide by 2, do you get -8? Psst, I think it's -16. But here's how we show it algebraically on both sides of the equation, because you have to be fair and do the same thing over there. If you do it here, you got to do it there. All right. These divide each other out to give you 1. And anything multiplied by 1 or dividing by 1 is just that thing. So whatever was in these parentheses is what we have left, m minus 13. You see, we've like unlocked the fraction now. We no longer are trapped by that nasty old denominator. Now you're free to manipulate the m and the 13 as you please. On the right-hand side, however, you get -16. Add 13 to each side. That undoes, if that's a word, the subtracting of 13. That goes to 0. They counteract each other. And you should get -3 for your final answer. Check it. Come over here and say, all right, -3 minus 13. Take that whole quantity and then divide by 2. Well, -3 minus 13 is -16. When I divide by 2, I get -8. Shazam! There you go. It works. It works. Beautiful. So here is what I want you to do. Now, your assignment for tomorrow is to take, let me get my select here, move this up. Go in your packet. We just did pages 17 and 18. Now I want you to do pages 19 and 20. You have to show all your work, and you have to be careful, and you have to be specific, okay? Don't skip steps. That's when a mistake occurs. So have a little patience. Write down every single step along the way, and you'll be guaranteed to sail right on through it with correct answers. As always, good luck, and may the force be with you.